Hi, this is Vivian at Next to Change, and I'm coming to you from the Stop Hurting Yourself with Relationship series. And so I just really want to talk today about some of the subtle signs that we dismiss that I consider warning signs or red flags or indicators that point to the fact that this person that you're in a relationship may not absolutely be the one for you. And so there are obvious signs such as physical abuse and just really extreme verbal abuse. And then there's obviously there's cheating. There are some things that are just obvious. But then there are those subtle signs, and those are the ones that I want to go over. And I have 17 here bulleted, and I'm going to go over those. And as you listen with open ears and an open heart and see if some of these things are things that are occurring in your relationship and take those things and ponder on them and be honest with yourself and see if these are things that you're dismissing. So I'll start with the first one is that you feel like you weren't the first choice. So usually when people are really, really happy about you, um, you know that you are the first choice. You know that they call you ahead of time. So these are people that make plans with you. Somebody calls you a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, 3 days in advance, first thing in the morning. Usually, you were their first choice for whatever the event or the situation is. You know, um, if they never make plans with you ahead of time, if you call them and ask them if they want to do something on Wednesday and it's Monday and they start their hum-hawing around about it and we'll see and that probably means that someone is keeping their calendar that person is keeping their calendar open for somebody else or something better. Even if it's not a person, it's something else that may come up that they may want to do. So you're not really important to them and you're not really that first choice. So, that to me is an indicator that person might not really be the person for you. Um, Number two is with that person, you feel unworthy. So I know that worthiness is something that we validate ourselves with, but there's also all of these outside nuances that can come against us and make us feel certain ways. That's why, for instance, there is the theory nature and nurture. So nurturing is also part of a relationship. And if you don't feel worthy or that person makes you feel unworthy, or even if they don't make you in your inward person feel unworthy, you know that they feel that you are unworthy. And, this is a person that never really offers you anything of value. And it doesn't have to be a monetary gift, it could be they offer you a compliment, they offer you to do something for you. They offer to cook for you. They offer to fix things for you. They offer themselves unconditionally to you. And it could be gifts. It could be monetary value. So if a person sees value in you and they think that you are worthy, they will give, and they will give from their heart. Number three is with this person, you feel confused. It's like um, you kind of never know what's going on. Maybe you're in a conversation with them and you know that they said something and they say that they didn't. You know that they did something and they say that they didn't. You know you didn't do something and they say that you did. Everything is just confusing. You can talk to them the next day and it's just a ball of confusion all the time. So that's another indicator. Number four is when you're with that person, you feel self conscious. You know, being self-conscious is not being free. It's not a freedom. So when you're out in the world, we have enough that we come against, and you may feel self-conscious around new people, stressful situations. But if you have someone that's your significant other, you shouldn't feel, I mean, even friends, you shouldn't feel self conscious around that person. So if you're feeling self conscious around that person, it's something that that person is doing to you. You may not even realize it, unless you're just that kind of a person. Now, if you feel that way around everybody all the time, then that's you, likely you, and you need to do something to help you mitigate that. But if you're feeling self-conscious, meaning, did I say that right? Do I look okay? Am I this enough? Am I this? That whole it all boils down to, am I good enough being with that person? Or does that person think that you're good enough? Or you feel like they don't think it? It's because it's something that they're doing to you. It doesn't mean you're not enough and you're not good enough. It just means that it's something that they're doing to you, and that they have their own issues. Either you're not really somebody that they really like, or they have their own patterns of their own mental dynamics that are going on. So you shouldn't feel self-conscious with anybody. If that's the person, this should be your more relaxed and more safe environment. Number 5 is you feel anxious when you're with that person. It's almost kind of like the same thing of the self-consciousness, but you feel anxious, you feel jumpy, you feel jittery. You're anxious with that person. And there are a myriad of reasons for being anxious when you're with somebody, but if you're always anxious with that person, it's something that they are doing that's triggering the anxiety. It's not necessarily that you have an anxiety problem, unless you have been diagnosed with some type of generalized anxiety disorder, or you're just anxious about everything all the time. But if there are particular people that are around that are triggers, and they trigger your emotions in such a way that you just become anxious, that probably is not the person for you, for whatever reasons. A lot of times we look for the reasons, but sometimes the reasons don't really even matter. Number 6 says, before a date you feel sick in your body, particularly your stomach. That's a strong sign. That comes from anxiety and stress and unworthiness and depression and self-esteem, all these things combined. So again, it's something that's happening with you and that person, and it's something that that person is doing. You're feeling anxious before that. There's something that's going on, and that something that's going on is probably one of these 17, or more than one of these 17 characteristics or criteria that I'm going over right now. So think about that. That's not good. Before you go see somebody that you really care about, or that really cares about you, again, you look for the easiness that you feel. You look for the peace, not the whole I'm sick in my stomach, I feel like I'm gonna vomit, not that type of thing. Excuse me for being so graphic, but that's kind of that sick feeling. Number 7, when you're with this person, your words feel stuck in your throat. Your voice is what you have and what you share your ideas with the world. That's how you convey your thoughts. That's how you convey your feelings. That's how you convey things. So if somebody's silencing your voice, that's possibly somebody that's using manipulation tactics to control you. So your words are stuck because that person's going to attack. So, that's something to watch out for. Number 8, when you're with that person, you feel happy that they took the time to be out with you. That's the wrong feeling. You know, there's gratitude, there's happy, there's a happy that you guys are out together. There's a happy that you're out with them. But to feel like you're happy that they took the time out of their schedule to be with you is really a devaluation of yourself. And if someone is making you feel like that, then that's a person, again, that they may not have the value for you. Well, they don't have the value for you that you deserve. If they're making you feel like, look, I took my time out to be with you, and, you know, all these types of different things. So, you know, that's something to consider. Number 9, when you get off the phone, you always find yourself saying, I hope I said the right thing. Again, that's a person that has you off balance, off centered, and you're not being yourself, because you yourself knows how to, you yourself, I just got a text message while I was filming this, I'm sorry, but you yourself, you know who you are, and you know what you should be saying. You know all these things, and you know how to speak to people. So getting off the phone wondering if you said the right thing and hoping that you said the right thing, it's almost like you're like, a pick-me person. There's a woman on YouTube that calls certain women pick-me women. But you could be a pick-me person, which means pick me, please, because I really don't think that I'm good enough. And number 10, and there's 17, but I'm gonna go to number 10, because this video's getting a little longer than I would have liked. But number 10, when you call him, you feel like you're interrupting, or when you call her, you feel like you're interrupting. So when you call them, you don't feel happy. You're easing in. You're hoping you're not calling too much. You feel like they're busy, and a lot of times they answer the phone with that. Yeah. You feel like you're interrupting them, and the reason why you feel like you're interrupting them is because they have done things that make you feel as if you're interrupting them when you call them. And so, and if they're still talking to you and calling you and making you feel like that, it's a control tactic. There's 7 more. I'm going to go ahead and go on with them. Number 11, you feel unsure. That goes back again to the uncertainty and the anxiousness, because you feel unsure, because you're always wondering, where you stand with that person, because they're never telling you where you stand with them. They're not telling you, I'm really happy to see you. They're not saying to you, I really love you, or I really care for you, or I really want you. He doesn't compliment you, or she doesn't compliment you on anything. The next one is you feel undesirable. So you're going to feel undesirable if you're with the person that's not making you feel like you're making you feel desired. And I mean liked and desired in 2 different ways. So if you're in a relationship, both a man and a woman need to feel like they're desired, as a man or as a woman. And if that person is not making you feel desirable in that way, then that definitely is not the person for you. That's not that one for you. Because you need to feel those things, because those are feeling desired is a need and a motivating factor in a relationship. So, and then especially if they're looking at other people, you're out with a guy and he doesn't make you feel desired, but he's looking at every woman that passes by. Or you're with a woman and she's not complimenting you. She's not admiring your physique or your muscles or your smile, but she's looking at all these other guys. That person is just not for you. A person cannot hide their desire. It's the eyes don't lie. Um, the next one is you feel inept. If you feel inept around that person, it's because they minimize you, they minimize your ideas, they minimize your accomplishments, and they're critical. And that person is not going to create a environment that facilitates your personal growth. They're not. If anything, they're going to tear down the work that you've done so diligently for yourself. The other is you feel afraid. So that's usually women. Men aren't so afraid of women. I mean, they can be afraid of the, fear of the argument, or fear of what, the nagging, or the different things that women do. But feeling afraid is usually because somebody uses aggressive, explosive, or bullying tones and bullying body language with you. And if somebody really loved you, love does no harm. So, people that are aggressive, people that are explosive, they bully you, they with their body language, they with facial expressions, that's a sign. That's a sign that you're not going to be happy. That's a sign, and that's really something that person has inside of them. So, you know that in a relationship, that's another thing that's unacceptable. The other one is when you're with that person, you feel or act like a child. What do I mean by that? So you're asking for direction in everything that you do because this person has instructed you and treated you like a child. And it's only going to go one or two ways with that. When that person is treating you like a child, you're either going to rebel, and it's going to be a big argument, or you're going to submit and you're going to be under their control. And the more they control you, then it's just the worse that it gets. So, that's the person that tells you, where to sit. Why did you sit there? That's the person that, when you're dressed, they look at you and, well, why did you wear that? That's the person that tells you, what you should think. Why do you think that? Your thinking is wrong. You need to do this. They tell you what time you should eat, what time you should this. Basically, they treat you like a child. You're a full-grown adult, but they treat you like a child. And when you want to express your individuality in your individuality in things, they attack. So, that's a sign. And the last one that I have here on my list, which of course is not an exhaustive list of red flags, but it's I tried to put the more common things that I've seen and that I know that other people also have seen. The last one I have is you never know with that person. You never know which one of them you will get. So it's like, one day they're nice, they're sweet, they're calling you, they're texting you, they're saying nice things, and you get pulled into that. And then you start saying nice things and all this. And then another day you say a nice thing, a really sweet thing, you kind of go out on a limb and feeling vulnerable. And then they withdraw all that, and then it's a whole nother person. Like, it's like they never said all those kind things or sweet things. So they go back and forth. And then again, that puts you in that position of anxiety and all those things. So you never know who you're going to get. So that's another reason why, you could feel sick, right? Before you go on a date, because, the the prince, right? It's kind of like, It's kind of like it's almost like a mystery date. You know, the person comes to the door and you open it, you don't know who's going to be there. You know, sometimes it's Prince Charming. Sometimes you open the door and it's like it's the grumpiest person, and they're mad and they're angry and they're dumping on you and they're doing all this stuff. So anyway, those are 17 criteria that I looked at, and and that I've observed, and that I think are very important, because these are a lot of things that we overlook and we make excuses for. So with that being said, look at those things, and some of those things you can rectify them just by pointing them out to the person. But if you point them out to the person and they attack you or they do different things, you need to know that that's not going to change. We can't change people. They have to be willing to change. So if you're in a situation like this, you be willing to change and get out of it. All right. So have a good day, and remember, be the next to change.